property show from Softlandings UK. Okay, we're live on YouTube now as well. So if you do have a question, kindly join us on YouTube, and then your question can come on the screen. We really appreciate if you do that, and everyone can learn from your questions, but we will take your questions on Instagram anyway. Good evening, everyone. Yes, for those who are familiar with the show, you've been here before. This is Emmanuel. We're here to talk about property in the UK, especially how it affects you as a new arrival, what to expect, the hindrances, things to help you get through the process. So yes, if you do have a question at any point, kindly join us on YouTube. The link is in the bio. As soon as you click on our bio link, you'll see the link there to join the show directly on YouTube, and send us your questions on there, please. Today, we are not going to cover all the things we covered in the last few shows, but if you do have a specific question on guarantors, on properties in certain areas, kindly send in those questions. We'll take them at the end. Today, I will be discussing bank accounts, as I promised at the end of last week's show. I will be discussing bank accounts. So if you've just joined us on Instagram and you've got a question, kindly send it on YouTube. The link is in the bio. So we'll be talking about credit scores, credit history, credit reports, how that affects you as a newly arrived person to the UK. What are the best bank accounts to start with when you've just come in? So we'll put that on the screen on YouTube, the best accounts for you. Now, when we come into the UK the first time as people coming from Nigeria, it's usually with a lot of cash up front. And the reason why I've chosen to discuss this today is just the experience we're having from customers, with people coming with about £10,000 cash, even more than that. And you do get into this situation where you open an online bank account and you probably don't realize that they don't have no physical branches. So then it's like, you've got all this cash, what do you do with it? You either have to get a relative to pay it into their account and transfer it over to you once you've got sort of an online account going. And this is what we're trying to get people to recognize. Now, if you are in certain, if you follow certain content creators who talk about relocation, or if you are in Telegram groups, what you will notice a lot is you will see a lot of people telling you, open Monzo, open a Revolut account. So you'll get a lot of people recommending those two to you, Monzo and Revolut. Now, while those are very good banks, they are not the best for you when you are just coming from from Nigeria to the UK, because essentially what's happening is you're coming from a cash society into a cashless society. So you're bringing a lot of cash, and it doesn't help. I've told clients before who they turn up at the estate agents with, £7,000, and they're trying to pay for rent for the next few months, and they won't take your cash from you. That's just how it goes. So we don't really use cash a lot here, especially for large amounts. You would be required to do transfers. So Monzo and Revolut, the reason why you hear a lot about them and you see content creators pushing them quite a lot is every time someone signs up with their link, they get some bonus of £5 or £10 or something. So every group you go to, people will be saying, open Monzo, open Revolut. I'm here to say don't open either of those two. They're not the best for you. They don't give cash facilities. So you can't pay your cash in anywhere. And it becomes a bit of a hassle if you don't have friends or relatives in the UK. Now, there's a few we're recommending, and I've got those on screen on YouTube. So if you're with us on YouTube, you will generally get more information. So like I said earlier, if you want to join us on YouTube, the link is in the bio. Just click on the link and you can join us there. Beg your pardon. So we have quite a few that are good alternatives to Monzo. The first one would probably be Lloyds Bank. Lloyds is a brick and mortar bank. They've got branches on the high street. The problem with a lot of the banks in the UK is as a new arrival, because you've got no credit history, you've got no address history, they can't see your past address. What tends to happen is they won't open an account for you, because they need to do a credit check first to open that account for you. So when you haven't got, you're just newly, they will just deny you. And that's why people flock to the online banks. So we have a few recommendations which are good for you. Lloyd's is number one of those. They're really good for new arrivals. If you walk into their branch, within a day or two, they'll issue you your card, it'll come to you. Even if you're in an Airbnb, a temporary place, use that as your address. Tell them you've just arrived. They'll be quite happy to open an account for you. So that's Lloyd's. The next one we're recommending is Metro Bank. Metro Bank is a fairly new bank in the UK. I mean, they've been open for about 5 to 7 years. They're not, but they are not your traditional bank. They've got branches on the high street, which is good for you, where you're coming with cash. You can go in somewhere and pay in your cash. Alternatively, all the banks we are talking about this evening, you can also go into the post office. So the post office in the UK, it's like a bank. They do all banking facilities. They have everything. So you can walk in there, withdraw money, pay money, that sort of stuff. So even when we're recommending online banks, there are still banks where you can use the post office. Now, there are some banks where they don't accept the post office. And that one of those is Revolut. Revolut, you can't pay in cash anywhere. No matter what you do, you can't pay in cash. You just need to get someone to pay into their account and transfer to you. Monzo, on the other hand, you can pay in a maximum of £300 a day in the post office, but only up to a maximum of 1,000 a month. So after you've paid in 300 about 3 times, on the 4th time, that's about the last time you can pay in for that month. And like I said, some of us are coming with school fees where you are paying the balance of your school fees. You might need to pay up to £10,000 for school fees. You might be coming with your rent. You might be coming with that. So paying in 300, 1,000 a month, it's really no use to you. So yes, we spoke about Lloyd's Bank. Metro Bank is another really good one. They've got branches all across the UK. And what's very good about Metro Bank, and since they've come up, is they are almost like a 24-hour bank. They close about 8 in the evening. So even if you do go to work or something like that, you come back from work, you can still pop into the bank branch. And they're good for new arrivals as well. They don't really do a credit check. So they're quite happy to open bank accounts for new people. They are open, I would say, 363 days a year or 62 days. They only close on Christmas Day and New Year Day. So even through Easter, they are open. So they're a really good bank as well. So that's number 2. We've got this scrolling across the screen on YouTube. If you're following us on Instagram, try and follow us on YouTube. The link is in the bio. It's so much more interactive. You'll get more out of the session. Okay, so we've got another one. It's called Kahoot. Now, Kahoot is a subsidiary of one of the bigger banks. So one of the biggest banks in the UK is called Santander. And Kahoot is like their online branch. It's the online strictly branch. So you might walk into Santander and they don't give you an account. But if you apply for Kahoot online, they will give you an account. They'll give you a card. You've got full banking facilities. And it's one of the ones where you can go to the post office and you can pay in as much cash as possible. There's no limits like Monzo and Revolut. We've also got Smile Bank scrolling across the screen. That's another new bank as well, which has only come in the last few years. They are online bank, but as well, you can go in the post office, pay in all your cash and start using banking facilities straight away. The last one I'm recommending today is First Direct. In the same vein, First Direct is one of the online banks as well. It's a new one, but sorry, I beg your pardon, it's not a new one. It's been there for about 25 years. They're a subsidiary of HSBC. So you might go into a HSBC and they won't open an account for you. The banks that are really bad in denying people are Barclays, NatWest, HSBC. They're very, very strict when it comes to opening an account. But if you do want to eventually have an HSBC account or a Santander one, you can open with their online branches first. And when you run that for a few months, they'll be quite open to opening with their bigger subsidiary, bigger company. So First Direct is under HSBC. It's their strictly online bank. They've been around for 25 years. All these are really good online banks. I get some customers who are worried about an online bank and say, oh, there's no branch. They give you the same guarantee as a normal bank. Your money is protected, that sort of thing. And they've been around for quite a while. So those are the 5 we're recommending today. If you are following us on Instagram, you can't see them, but they're on the screen on YouTube. That's Lloyd's, Metro Bank, Kahoot, Smile, and First Direct. And there will be a follow-up video on Instagram. So don't worry, you don't have to grab a pen and paper, write this down. we will provide something for you this week on the page where you guys will see more about that. So we're just telling people, if you're coming with a lot of cash, stay away from Monzo and Revolut. It's your content creator. He just wants to get the £5 commission. So that's a bit of a freebie we're throwing out there this week. Okay, so we're going to move on to something that ties into what we've just been talking about. So we've been talking about banks, what's the best bank to get started. And why is this important? Why is it important to get one kind of bank account or the other? You know, one thing that is really important, and it's almost as important as your passport here, is what we call your credit report, your credit history. You know, so as a new person in the country, I know some of us are coming on student visas, which are only for 2 years, but we're all thinking long term. You're thinking, what happens, you know, after you get the permanent status or you're here for much longer? You know, you're going to want to buy a house, you're going to want a loan from the bank sometime, you're going to want all these credit facilities like a credit card. It opens up doors to a lot of things. Now, your credit report is something you should protect as well as possible. How do you protect it? By paying your bills on time, not owing, you know, just saying, oh, I won't pay my electricity bill, or I'm struggling this month, I won't pay a certain bill. Don't do that in the UK. Even rent companies report things to your credit history. So what happens is, if there are stains on your credit history, maybe one company says, so all the energy companies, all the rent companies, mortgage companies, anything financial in the UK where you're supposed to be paying every month, they report to the credit reference agencies. We've got 3 major credit reference agencies in the UK, and there's 1 or 2 smaller ones. So we've got Experian, we've got TransUnion, and we've got Equifax. Now, they're massive organizations. They collect information every single month about you, and they store this information on their servers. Now, when you go to the bank, you want to apply for a loan, they do a credit check. Some of you that are already in the UK, you might have noticed sometimes you try to apply for properties and the first thing they will say is, we're going to do a credit check for you. It's just to see if there's any stains on your credit report. I cannot emphasize enough how much you need to take care of your credit, because a lot of us come here, you know, especially Nigerians who used to come here a long time ago, you'll play around, you won't pay certain bills, and then you get stuck in a position. If there's any stain on that credit report and it goes up to the level of a CCJ, which is where they take you to court because you've not paid 1 or 2 bills, and these things will happen in your back. It's not court that you have to attend. The company will just write a letter to you for some months, 2-3 months. Once you don't pay, they will forward it to court. The court will approve it. CCJ, it goes on your credit file. And the next thing, bailiffs are after you. They want the money back. They will sell the debt to another company that starts chasing you for the money. So it's one that I think people need to know about earlier in their journeys, as opposed to going wrong and then trying to fix it. It's a really hard thing to fix. If you get a CCJ or anything for not paying bills in this country, it stays on your name for 6 years. So for the next 6 years, anytime you try to apply for a loan, apply for a new iPhone or contract phone, apply for a credit card, apply to even move house, and they will ask you for a guarantor. They might not even grant you that facility. Maybe you do get a loan, it will be at a very high interest rate because they see you as unreliable and somebody that is liable not to make payments. So, you know, we all know how Nigeria is. Sometimes you can even go to all these Kuda banks, all these kind of people, take loans from them, don't pay, they will chase you, they will write things on Facebook and you can ignore. Here, you won't be able to ignore it because they will be on your back. And there's actually companies and whole setup. There's a whole system set up to chase debt. So my advice to you is start on the right foot, start it well. Another thing we need to talk about is it's not just about not getting bad things on your report. It's changing the mentality. Remember, Nigeria is a country where only till recently we see credit as something bad. Taking a loan, we see it, I don't want to be in debt, or I don't want to owe anybody any money, this and that. I want to be clean. The reverse is the case here. You need to owe a little bit of debt for your name to show in the system. So let's assume now you come into the country, you are Mr. Good John. Your name is Mr. John Good. You don't take no loans, you don't take no credits, you don't take any credit card. You are living here for the next 10 years and you never once apply for credit. The day you will go and apply for credit, they will deny you, which will be very surprising to you because you will be like, I don't owe anybody money now. I pay my bills on time. I do everything well. Why are they denying me? It's because you need to build a credit history. They need to actually see. So one of the banks we're going to be recommending as well, which we haven't put out today, is Cash Plus. They have a very good credit builder facility. So they actually help you build your credit. Staying in the system, don't owe anything, don't do anything, it's not great for your credit. It doesn't read anything. It just looks like you are a ghost. And this is like you are not there. You understand? Even someone who has a little bit of a negative is kind of better than you that has never taken loan before. Because at least they can say that, oh, he didn't make one payment in March, he didn't make one in May, but he made up for it 2 months later. So maybe he lost his job there and he had a bit of a hard time. They can still judge something about you, but having nothing in the system is not great. I've had this conversation so many times, even with high school groups I'm in, and I tell them credit is good. And they're like, credit is good, Care. You're asking me to go and owe money. Why should I be owing money? I've never owed money in my life. I don't take loan. I don't take the reverse. So a part of what we want to do in this channel is start getting you ready for the system here, how people think, how to change your thinking around certain things. You are coming into a society where credit is really important. In fact, I mean, it's important in the UK, but in America, it's like certain people, before you get married, they'll ask you, do you have good credit? Because it can literally determine so many things. If you get the right house, if you get, the right job. Yeah, even jobs like Amazon, they will do a credit check on you before they employ you. Even Amazon in the UK. So say you wanted to be an Amazon driver to deliver package. That is one job I have not covered. But I've told people, come with your international driving license. It opens up a lot of doors for jobs. So, I mean, we did do a little job session last week and the weeks before. But we'll be coming back to jobs in another week. But this week, we're mainly talking about credit and finance. If you've just joined on Instagram, a bit of a roundup there. We are talking about credit, the best accounts for you. Kindly join us on YouTube if you can. The link is in the bio and you can see the stuff on the screen as well. So yes, like I was saying, you do want to start building your credit as soon as possible. You want to maintain a good credit file while you are here. The Cash Plus, one of the banks we're recommending, they actually give you like it's not really a loan, but they give you a certain amount of money, which you pay back £20 every month. And then they register that on your credit file. So it looks like you took a loan of 240 for 1 year, but it's not actually a loan. It's just something so that your credit file starts to read something and it's not zero. Then when you go and apply for something, they'll say, okay, you paid that first one. Well, I'm aware a lot of us are thinking of buying houses when we come in the long run. We put out something about property and a lot of people responded to that. So this is why we're telling you the very, very important thing you need to be thinking about is your credit history. The sort of bank you open is important. Monzo or Revolut may not do much for your credit history. And this is why we're recommending other banks as well. Okay. So if you do have any questions, kindly send it to us on YouTube. Send them here. If I've missed your question, don't worry. I will come back and answer any sort of questions we have. Yes. So if you have any questions about places you're going to, properties, we will come back to that. I have something on Instagram from Duals Apparels. How much is rent in Wolverhampton? Okay, you might be new to the channel. If you do send us a question about rent or prices, include as much information as possible. So we need to know what size of property you want. Is it a 2-bedroom? Is it a self-contained? That's a property in Wolverhampton is not really useful because at the end of the day, you can get a property for 300 and you can get one for £1,000. It depends on the size you know, all these other factors, what sort of property you're looking for. I've got something else on Instagram for Nabob. I hope you're still there. Hi, good evening. You tend to join the live screen quite a lot, so it's good to have you here. Can a dependent open with Metro? Now, when you do come to the UK, your dependents have the same rights as the main, so maybe the student or whoever has the certificate of sponsorship. So you can both open accounts, you both have the same rights, that sort of thing. So yes, you can, to your question, Nabob, it's yes, you can definitely open an account with that bank, Metro Bank. We spoke about Metro Bank a bit earlier. It's a 24-hour bank, more or less. They're there till quite late in the evenings. They're there 7 days a week. They're there on Sundays, Saturdays. So it's a really good one to go for as your first account. Okay, so Birmingham. Okay, so I think you're new to the channel. We also tell people you need to start getting used to the terms here. So self-contained is a very Nigerian term. And when you're searching here, what we call self-contained is what is maybe a studio flat. So you've got your own kitchen, your own bathroom, and it's in one room. So we call that a studio flat. So yeah, definitely I can have a look at that for you. If you do give me just 1 second. Another one, I think, I'm not too sure what they call it in Nigeria. Room and parlor, is that what it is? We call that 1 bedroom here. We don't say parlor. If you go to the SAH and say, I'm looking for a room and parlor, they'll say, what's parlor? I know it's English. They're the ones who own the language, but they don't use that terminology anyway. So a room and parlor, what we call in Nigeria, is called a 1 bedroom flat here. A self-contained is called a studio flat. So, you know, the sooner you start getting used to the terms, the better. So I'm having a look at that for you right now. So yes, that was a good one to touch on for people who haven't been here before about the different terminologies we use around here in the UK. So in terms of studio flats, you would be looking at anything between 450 to 650. That seems to be the medium, and I would think go for about 550 somewhere. You'll definitely get something. At the end of the market, 650, 600. At the lower end, there's a range in properties like we have discussed on the channel before. You'll get one that's really cheap in the area you're looking at. Be careful with those that are super cheap as well. There's normally something wrong with them. But I always tell people, aim for the middle, because you're competing against people that live here already. Some of them don't need guarantor. They have good credit history. They've got 2 people working. One thing that tends to be a problem with people who come on certificate of sponsorship is it's only the certificate or owner that is working. So that's how they calculate the income at first. And it's only till the dependent has a job you can get some bigger houses. So Ochi Green, I hope that answers your question. I would say aim for 550, 650. That's what you'll be spending on the studio. Funlola Fa, good evening. Thank you so much for joining again. I was getting your name wrong last week, but I'm so happy you're here today again. The question, how do clients affect bulk payments upon arrival? Okay, so that's what we're covering in the earlier part of the session, is making sure you get the right account for when you come. Cash is no good here. Having £5,000, £10,000 in your hand when you come, you go to an agent, they don't want it. They will ask you transfer it to us. They give you the details because they don't want any, you know, they've eliminated crime to a certain level in certain things. So we don't just be carrying around. If people see you with £1,000, they look at you and say, oh, is he a drug dealer? And the worst of all is Nigerians, we tend to come with these nice £50 notes. Nobody uses £50 notes in the UK. We use 20. That's day to day. That's the one you're going to see quite a lot of. 20, 10, and 5. Nobody uses 50. My mom goes to Nigeria and she comes back and she has this bundle of 50. I'm like, why are they giving you people this big money? And you go to spend it and people just think, oh, wow, where have you got that from? So I think the 50s are mainly for people who do exchange, the bureau de change. And that's why you guys tend to come with that. Okay. Oh, Lillian Olusifo on YouTube. You're saying you can't hear me properly. I haven't got any complaints from anyone else. If anyone else can't hear me properly, please indicate in the messages or somewhere. It might be on your side. I don't know if it's yours. So I'm sorry. I don't know if you can hear me now, Lillian. I haven't gotten any complaints elsewhere, so I'm going to assume it's on your end. I did do extensive testing before starting the session, so I think my but if anyone can hear me, please just indicate to me. Full Lolafa. So I hope that answers your question. Oh yeah, she's come back. Lillian, it's better now. Okay, that's great. Okay, so yes, I hope that answers your question. We're just taking questions on both Insta and YouTube at the moment. So if you are going to make a bulk payment, what you need to do is open an account as soon as possible, especially one where you can pay cash in. We've listed the accounts. We're going to have something on the page in probably tomorrow or the day after that tells you the top 5 accounts to open as a new arrival in the UK. Don't open a Monzo or Revolut. You can't pay cash in. Monzo, you can only pay in 1,000 every month in the post office. Revolut, you can't pay in cash at all. So if you are in that situation, you would have to give a relative the money and they will probably transfer it to you. They are strictly online banks, so it's only transfer. They don't do cash. But there's still some online banks that you can pay cash into. So those are the ones we're giving a list of. They're easy to open. They have the facilities that us as Nigerians need when we come over. So I hope that answers your question, Fulolafa. Thank you for joining again this week. I'm taking a few on YouTube now. If you're on Instagram, you can join us on YouTube. We can put your question up on the screen. It's so much more interactive. Kindly subscribe to the page, support us with what we're doing here. And yeah, I know people love to watch on Insta. That's why I'm constantly looking both ways. We're streaming on both platforms. But if you join us on YouTube, I promise you it's so much better and so much more interactive. The link is in the bio. Just click on our homepage. The link takes you straight to the live stream. Okay, so we've got Daniel Gift on YouTube. Thank you, Daniel, for joining. Good evening. It says, please, when coming with a year-old baby, how do you go about the schooling of the child? Okay, so it seems on this channel, people are always one step ahead of me. Next week's subject is all about school and childcare in the UK. So Daniel, I'm going to answer your question briefly, but if you want more extensive information about how the UK school system is, how the British system compares to the Nigerian system, it's like we say primary school, secondary school, nursery school. They have totally different terms here, and we have different types of schools here as well. Children tend to finish school around 15, 16 here, and then they go to college, which is 2 years to get their A levels. So I'm going to be going deeper into that next week. That's my topic for next week. But just to give you a quick answer, at this level with a 1-year-old baby, I think all you'll be thinking of is daycare or kindergarten at this moment. So it's just daycare at the moment. They won't start proper school till 4 years old. So I think, you know, it's good to be thinking ahead. Another thing with schools in England is it's very, very competitive. If you want your child, like, you have to start checking for schools a year before and registering. If you wait till the year or a few months before, you're not going to get a good place for your child, or it will be in a school that is not too great. And that's something we'll be covering in next week's session as well. We'll be talking about the ratings of school, what you should be looking for. And this affects people's houses because schools here have catchment areas. So if your school is in a certain location, your house, I mean, if you live in a certain location, you can only go to school in like a 5-mile radius. You can't go like 20 miles away because there's a good school there. So it's very important, especially those with school-age children, to take note of this before they start their house search. The reason I go into all these other topics that's not about housing is these things will eventually start to affect you. It's good to know where you choose your house before you go. So Daniel, you're on the right track. It's good to be ahead. I think for now, just think of daycare and who takes care of your child when you are working. So if your partner is going to be a full-time carer for your kids, then that's fine. If not, you have to think of if both of you are going to work. That's another reason why we're covering childcare next week. Childcare in the UK is really, really expensive. So if both of you need to work, it depends. If you have one child, it might be worth it. By the time you have 3, 4 children, sometimes it's better for the other partner not to work and just, So Daniel, I hope that answers you. You've got 3 years to worry about child schooling for a 1-year-old. So I wouldn't worry too much. And next week, like I said, please join us. We'll have a whole show discussing schooling. But this week, we're mainly focused on accounts, the best accounts for you, your credit score and how that affects you, and everything along that. Okay, so that's all we have on YouTube. So I'll take a few more on Instagram at the moment. So yes, we have Tony, Ego, Tony Money. Okay, so I hope you're still there. You've asked a question in regards to how much is a 1-bed self-contained studio apartment, right? Thank you, at Salford, Manchester. Okay, so we'll have a quick look on those for you and we can tell you some prices. Yes, start to talk like a UK person before so that they don't see you as JJC. This is why I tell people these things. When you come and you're telling the estate agents that, they're just like, oh, what's he talking about? Okay, so studio apartments in Manchester, you want to be looking, they're quite expensive, anywhere from about 700, 750, all the way up to £1,000. Let's look at Salford specifically, because Manchester is quite big and you have mentioned Salford, so I beg your pardon. But Salford is slightly cheaper. But even these days, it's going up because it's one of those places that's on the rise. So Tony Ego, I hope you're still with me on Insta. You'll be looking anywhere between, it's still about the same thing, 750, 850, yeah, all the way up to £1,000. So yeah, Salford is one of those areas that's up and coming. The BBC, which is our NTA here, their main headquarters is in Salford now. So since they moved there about 10 years ago, the prices have been rising. It used to be a really cheap place to live. Okay, so we'll take another one on, we'll take one more on Instagram and then we'll go back to YouTube. It's Ego Gadzama. Okay, that's a long one. Ego Gadzama, I think. Sorry if I'm getting that wrong. Good evening. Thank you for joining. I'm moving to Leeds and we're a family of 4. What is the ideal accommodation type and how much are we looking at per calendar month? Now, one of the first sessions, if you want a lot more information on that, look at week 2 session. We discussed about, family types and the kind of properties you can get. But we'll go over it now anyway. Just if you want it in more detail, it's on the YouTube page. Now, everybody who comes tends to say, I want a 2-bedroom. It depends on the makeup of your family. If there's 2 of you that's adults and you have 2 kids, it depends on the ages of the kids and their gender. So any child above 10, they may need their own bedroom. You can't go to an estate agent and say, I have a 17-year-old and you'll be sharing with the 3-year-old. They will not have it. So, the ages are important, the genders are important. Let's say you have 2 boys now and both of them are under 10. Maybe one is 6, one is 4, they can share 1 bedroom. If you have a boy and a girl and they are both under 10, one is 4, one is 5, 7, 8, whatever it is, they're under 10 years old, they can share a bedroom. As soon as they're getting to 10 years old, after 10, you can have 2 boys sharing, you can have 2 girls sharing all the way to 17 or whatever. But they don't really want them mixing genders after 10. The idea behind that is, I beg your pardon, the idea around that is they're coming to the age of puberty. They're starting to know, kids start to get self-aware at a certain age. They don't really want the boy or the girl feeling self-conscious to change in front of the other one or, and those are things we should be looking to prevent as well. So I understand it's very expensive. When we just come here, we want to manage as much as possible. These are the issues you will have with estate agents. Even some properties, listen to people who are here already. They will tell you sometimes they cannot, when they just say, I have 2 or 3 children, anything like that, the estate agent will just say, no, we're not renting to you. So it's a very dicey issue. It's one you have to be a bit technical around. Also, I would never advise you to overcrowd a property. So I've had people with 4 children and they're asking about a 2-bedroom. Honestly, it's going to be impossible. As well, you know, this is one of the things on our page is the space in UK apartments is really small. So what is a 2-bedroom in Nigeria is not the same equivalent here. You will have 1 big bedroom. The other bedroom, sometimes it's a double room, sometimes it's a single room. So to crowd 4 children into a place that I can stretch my arms and touch both walls, they think of the mental factors, they think of how they are affected. You know, these are things Nigerians, maybe we don't give enough thought to. But then we can build massive big houses. But, you know, so it's different. Here, space is a premium. I always say that. And, you know, you want to make sure your children are getting as comfortable as possible, because when they go to school, they will ask them questions. And by the time they say, oh, I'm in one room with 3 of my brothers and it's a girl, the teacher will be interested, you know? So you want to be careful going into these situations. I did a whole show about this earlier on. So Ego Gazama, if you come back with a follow-up question, I can give you a bit more information. You've not told me the genders of the children or their ages. That is a very important factor in how estate agents will see you and how they will be conducive to your search. Okay, so we're going to switch to YouTube just for a bit. We have a few questions there. Lillian Olus Osifo, yeah, thank you for staying with the broadcast there on YouTube. We've put that on the screen. How do we build our credit score? So I touched on this a bit earlier. Maybe you joined slightly after the start. Credit score is something that you can only build with time. You know, you can't come in 2 months and have a perfect score. It's not possible. I also spoke about Nigeria, the differences. In Nigeria, we don't like to owe debt. If you owe any money, it's seen as, I don't want to owe money, I don't want to borrow money. I've got 20 million in the account, why will I borrow money? Whereas in Britain, you can have £10,000 in your account. You will still have overdraft facility on your account so that at any time you can take extra 1,000 for the bank. You will still have your credit cards that you spend every day. So the best way, when they do give you a credit card, use your credit card for your shopping, the things you can do, and then you pay it off at the end of the month. So it doesn't matter that you have money to spend. The sensible way to do it is use your credit card, you pay off the credit card, and you're building your credit that way. It gets better. One of the banks we'll be recommending on the page is called Cash Plus Bank. I beg your pardon, I'll just have a quick drink. Cash Plus Bank is a really, really good one for building your credit. Other ways of building your credit is as soon as you come in, don't do anything negative. Don't refuse to pay bills. Pay your bills on time. Your electricity bill, your gas bill, your water bill, all of them, they report every month to the credit reference agency. So they tell them, okay, he owes us 200, he has paid 200. If you pay less, they will report it. If you don't pay at all, it's noted as a default on your file. So by the time you have about 3 defaults, even though it's not gotten to the point of a county court judgment, which is where they take you to court to recover the money, it's still something negative on your file. So you really, really want to make sure you are paying your bills on time when you come here. Don't take a house that is unaffordable for you. I've told people in other shows, if you are budgeting, budget for bills as well. Only students get council tax free. So every household, if it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom, you're going to spend between 300 to 500 every month on bills. So if your budget is 1.5, just know that about 300 of that is for bills. So you can actually afford an apartment of 1.2, not 1.5. So don't use your whole budget on the rent, and don't worry about bills. Okay, so Lillian, I'll just continue with your next question because it's there. Is it possible for a student to search for a 3-bedroom accommodation for her dependents before they arrive? Well, anything is possible. If you get it is the question. You can search. There's no one stopping you from searching, but will you be able to acquire it on their behalf? I think that's the question you want to actually ask, not is it possible to search. So it's actually possible to search, going on Rightmove is as easy as anything. The problem is, are your dependents coming to England? If they're coming to Wales, like Cardiff, Swansea, you can probably help them get it before they arrive because there is no right to rent requirement outside England. Within England, you need your right to rent. Right to rent, you can only get it when you come here and get your biometric card, and then you fill it out on the government website. So this is a subject we've covered in past shows. I'm just going to see if I can put that on the screen. So it's called right to rent. Oh, I don't think I have that there. But yeah, we will come back to that. So that's what your dependents need. Oh, they're coming to London. So you've come with a follow-up there. They're coming to London, Lillian. Yes, so it's going to be very unlikely you can get it for them before they arrive. I'll just be honest with you. First of all, you are a student, so you might not have the required income to rent it on their behalf. Number two, they like to see the people that are going to be renting the property. So I've said this in other shows as well. People always go, oh, get it for me before I get there. How about if we get it for you and you get here and you don't like it and it's a rubbish apartment? Then you'll be like, oh, I don't want it. You get it, and they've signed the agreement on your behalf. It's a 12-month agreement. So it's always advisable that they plan for Airbnb. I know people don't like to spend any unnecessary money. If you are coming to London, plan to spend at least 1 or 2 months in temporary accommodation. I'm just being honest with you. The housing market here is really tough in London. So it does take a while to get any kind of property or get your foot in the door. They have to also get their right to rent. So Lillian, I hope that answers your question. I'm going to go to Instagram for a bit and just take a few from there. If you are on Instagram and you want your question on the screen, join us on YouTube. Just go on our bio. The link is there. It takes you straight to the live stream. We can put your question on the screen. People can watch that later, and it helps. It's much more interactive. It helps other people with, to understand a few things. But we'll take a few now. Ochi Evergreen, you're laughing about studio flats. Yes, start using the terms now. Tony, Ego, Salford, Manchester, I think we answered that for you. CC Wumi, I can hear you fine. Oh, okay, I think you see, I'm so far behind on Instagram. If you have a pressing question, please send it to us on YouTube. Just click on the link in the bio. I can take them much faster. Jasmine Life, I hope you are still there. How much is a 1-bedroom apartment in Bromley? So we'll have a quick look at that for you. Yes, Bromley is quite a good place to be going in London because it's not as congested as other areas. It's in the southeast, on the outskirts towards Kent as well. Good Nigerian community around there. Southeast London is sort of the Nigerian place to be, so you won't be too far from anything. You want a 1-bedroom apartment. Okay, so let's have a quick look at that for you. We're talking about Bromley. So you'll be looking anywhere between 1,200 to 1,350 in Bromley, which is a lot. Wow. Okay. So in the few years since I have, lived near there, well, this is going back 10 years. It used to be really cheap, and it seems everybody has flooded there. So if you're still with us, Jasmine Life, you're looking realistically 1,250, 1,300. That's about the prices on average in Bromley. Oh, Ade Crown, you can't hear me properly on YouTube. That's strange. I think I'm communicating well with the other people. I think it will be on your side. I think it will be on your side. Let's just have a quick look. Audio. Yeah, my audio is going fine on YouTube. Ade Crown, I think it's on your side. So I do apologize that you're not hearing me properly, but my audio is going out fine on YouTube. Okay, so Tony Ego, I think you've asked that question about 3 times. Funlolafa, just getting to your one now. Do you have agents in Bedford? Okay, so we are strictly online. We don't have agents anywhere. But the way UK works, literally, you don't need any agents anywhere, to be honest. It's all done remotely. We only need you there during the period where you're searching, so you can go on viewings. So I get that question a lot. And sometimes people come with cash and they think they will meet us and give us cash. You may, unless we're doing airport pickup for you, you might not meet anyone from Softlandings. We do it all remotely. All the houses you see on our page, we've acquired from people. The housing market here is strictly online, to be honest. So they post the properties that are available, and you'll get people from all over jostling from them. And we couldn't have people in every location in the UK, to be honest. It is quite a big area to cover. Okay, just on Instagram, Mofolu Asebi, well done. Thank you so much. I think we're talking tomorrow. We're already in conversation about your guarantor for your property. So thank you for joining this evening. Scrolling down, Nabob, oh, I think I've answered that already. Maybe you missed it. If your dependent can open Metro, yes, you can. So your dependents have the same status as you once you are in here. Don't worry about dependent status. Once they have a visa to come in here, you can access all banking facilities. So that's not a problem. Tony Ego, when is it advisable to start searching for accommodation from Nigeria for September intake? It depends on where you are going, to be honest, Tony, if you are still there. You know, certain areas are already advertising for September. So we've put some of those on our page. If you go a few posts behind, places like Portsmouth, Hull, Cardiff, Swansea. When we go and do a search online, 70% of the properties we see, they are not available till September. So they are already advertising for September because it's so congested there. So if you're coming to one of those, it will be a good time to start. If you can tell me your specific place, you can send us a DM message later, or if you come back, if you're still there, I can search for you and let you know how congested that area is. So for some people, you need to start paying now, starting work now. Some of you'd have to wait till you come and do Airbnb solving. Okay, so we've got official. I am Oladiran. I think I'm saying that right. Hello, good evening. Thank you for joining. How do I work on my credit score without a physical work for someone that trades Forex? Okay, so credit score is not really dependent on your job. A lot of people here are self-employed. You know, I think the problem you will have when you do Forex is like you're going to buy a house and they will ask you for your pay slips. So there's certain kinds of credit. Maybe you want to buy a house in the future and then they will need pay slips from your job. If you are self-employed, what you will have to show as an alternative to pay slips is your tax records. So when you're self-employed, you should be paying the UK government tax. Now, if you do Forex, I don't know how that affects you. And I'm not a representative for Her Majesty's tax system or His Majesty's tax system. So, you know, if you are paying tax on your earnings, every year you will get a tax sort of, you know, detailed tax thing. And they will normally need 3 years of your tax. So if you wanted to buy a house and you are not working or you are self-employed, you work from home, you have to make sure you are paying your tax. You know, how much you pay, I can't say. There's a calculation. You will have to speak to an accountant for a deeper understanding of that. But that's the hindrance people with self-employment have. Now, in terms of credit score, pay your bills on time. Take credit as soon as you can get it. If you've been banking with Lloyds for 1 year and they say, oh, we can offer you overdraft, take the overdraft. Don't ever say no to any credit that's given to you as a new person. You can take 1,000 overdraft for them or 500 overdraft. Use it this month, pay it off next month. Every time you pay off, they report to the credit agencies and say, this guy is a good credit payer. He's owing, but he has paid. He's owing, but he has paid. It's the minute you don't pay things, you start to mess up your credit score. So I am Oladiran. I hope that answers your question as much as I can answer it. Funlolafa, thank you for staying with us. Do you have agents in Bedford? I think I've answered that one. How many options do you present to clients? Now, that's a really good question, because we are in process with some clients, and we generally have a rule of 3. So it's a rule of 3. And in terms of viewings, we will try to get you between 3 to 5 places to view, just to look at. In terms of refusal, we only allow you to refuse 2 places. By the time you refuse the 3rd place, we'll be asking you to do the search yourself. And when you get something you like, we secure it for you. Because the way the UK market is right now, it's not a place where you can keep saying, oh, I don't like that, I don't like that. And especially if you compare it to Nigeria. Now, some people like luxury properties. We secured a luxury property for someone just last week. There were clients from India. The property is worth 1.5 million pounds, and their rent is 4,000 pounds a month. So they're paying 1,000. So if you want luxury, tell us you want luxury. We can get luxury for you. What we have on the opposing side is somebody will say, I want to pay 600 a month. And when we show you what is 600, say, I don't like it. There's no furniture. I don't like it. There's no this. Well, we are here to help people secure the property. We cannot get you your dream home. And I've had this with quite a few clients. Even in December last year, I had a very lovely chap. Everything we were showing him, he was saying, no, it's not up to my standard. I want a high-class flat. Well, you have to pay high-class money to get a high-class flat. That's the thing. So we cannot do magic. The magic we do is if you have problems with references, if you have problems proving your past history, if you need a guarantor, that's the magic we can do. We can work very fast for you to help you secure a place. In terms of searching, we don't really tolerate people saying they want to say no to 5 different properties. It's very hard. I promise you, you may not get your dream house as your first property. Take the first place you can see that is good, that meets up the standard for yourself and for your children. Take that property, live there for 6 months or 12 months. And when you're doing it next time, it'll be so much easier and you can get your dream place. So don't think of it like the place I get now is where I'm going to stay for the next 5 or 7 years. No. You know, even when you sign a 12-month contract, if you decide after 6 months that you don't like this place anymore, you only need to give about 30 days to 60 days notice. You give a notice, say I'm leaving, they will honor your notice. So in your 12-month contract, there's a breakout clause. So the clause says you have to give 1 or 2 months notice, and yeah, you can move on to something else. But that's a really important and a great question from Funlolafa. Thank you so much for answering that. So we have a 3-time refusal rate. If you refuse 2 properties, on the 3rd one, we'll say if you don't take it, then you will have to search for the property, get your taste. We understand not everybody's taste is the same, but then we'll help you with the securing process as opposed to searching. Okay, I'm taking one on YouTube at the moment. It's from Kende Yusuf. Please, is it possible to get an accommodation from Nigeria before getting to the UK? I think I've answered that in part for someone, but you might have missed that. It is possible in certain parts of the UK. You need to tell us where you're coming to. So, and it depends when you are coming as well. So if you're coming for September intake and you're coming to somewhere like Cardiff, Swansea, Hull, Portsmouth, we can get you something now because they are already advertising for September already. So that is a separate situation. In terms of overall, if you're coming to England, you need your right to rent, which most times you can't get it till you arrive here. You need your biometric card to get it most times. Some people can do it with their passport, but from experience, most people cannot. You need your biometric card. So that's the big hindrance for us getting it for you. And like I said earlier, it's good if you see the place where you'll be moving to. There's no need we go and get a property that does not meet your standard. And then when you come, you're like, I don't like it, I want to leave. You know, I had that with a client. I've said this in a previous live stream last month. The wife came, she was here, she saw the place, but she didn't look at important things like what buses come here, what transportation is here, how easy is it for me to get to school, how is it for me to get, and that area, there's no public buses. So if you have to live there, you need a car. So eventually I've supported them with buying a car, you know, help them through that process. And this is why we're telling people, come with your international driving license when you come. People doing domiciliary work, if you've got a care job, you don't want to be waiting for buses. So if you drive in Nigeria already, You would think you are saving money. You can get a car for less than £1,000. You can get a car for £1,500. A good first car to take you around. It'll help you prevent staying in the cold, all that sort of thing. So I've gone off on a tangent. I'm sorry, Kende. I tend to talk like that. I go into different topics. But your question was, is it possible to get accommodation from Nigeria? Send me a follow-up. Tell me where you're coming to. I will be able to shed more light on that. But most times, 70% of the times is a no, unless they are already advertising that area for next period, for sort of next session. Okay, so back to Instagram. So a follow-up from Ego Gadzama. So yes, you were talking, I think your original question was about family of 4 and the size of property you need. So you said your kids are 3 and 1, a boy and a girl. So that's great. The boy and girl can share. So you need 2 bedrooms now, 1 for you and your partner, 1 for your kids. And then as they get towards 10 years old, you start thinking of 3 bedroom. But that's fine. So beautiful. Jasmine Life, I'm here. We see you. Okay, the passerby on Instagram. Thank you. I hope you are still with me. I think I'm really far behind on the questions on Insta. Yeah, if you want a faster response, join the link on YouTube. It's on the bio there. 2 bedroom in Middlesbrough, Teesside. So the passerby, I hope you're still there because I'm aware you've sent this quite a while ago. Teesside. I want Middlesbrough. And you are after a 2 bedroom. Okay. So that is definitely one of the cheaper areas in the UK at the moment. 2 bedroom, anything from £600 to £1,000. So I would say go for mid-range. 700 should do you a nice place. 600-700, the passerby, and you should be able to get a nice 2 bedroom in Middlesbrough. Piton Beauty Studios. Hello, good evening. Thank you for joining the stream. When can the student's name start reading on the rent contract after you get the place? Okay. Beg your pardon. When can the student's name start reading? Your name starts reading immediately. So how estate agents are here is there's not a lot of secrets, you know. When you go to the estate agent, they're going to ask you who is going to live there. Every adult above 18 has to fill a form. So they have to know. So your name will start reading from day one. You know, maybe you are interested in council tax. Maybe that's why you are asking about student name and reading. I don't know if that's where the angle you are coming from. For council tax, you only get 25% discount if you are a student living with your partner. So if you've come with your husband, you know, and you are the student, and both of your names are on the contract, then council tax, you're going to pay 75%. It's not free. If you are the student and only your name is on the tenancy agreement, then it's free. So, you know, it's up to however you sort that out. But the problem is, most people say, just put the student's name, don't put the partner's name. That's fine. But when you're renting, they look at your income. So a student can only work part-time. Your salary might be 15,000, and then it doesn't meet the affordability requirements for that property. So usually you need 2 incomes to meet that. So it's not as easy as just putting one person's name. So we've got I am Biola. Hello, Softlandings. Hello, Biola. I hope you're enjoying your flats in Cardiff. That's one of my old customers. She always shows us support. Thank you so much. Now, Bob, you said thank you. I think you answered your question. T. Mert, I want to ask about COS. How long does it take to get and start work? So you're talking about a certificate of sponsorship, and you know, that is very common in the care industry at the moment. Yes. So you are saying, how long does it take to get and start work? I mean, a COS is normally issued for a 3-month period. So if you get your COS, as soon as you arrive in the UK, your employer will give you a start date. Your start date is normally within 2 weeks or 3 weeks of arrival. If you're already in the UK, it will be probably less. So you'll be starting work more or less as soon as possible. You might have a week or 2 to rest, but if you come on COS, you've come to work. So I beg your pardon, everyone. So there's not a long period in between. How long does it take to get? Now, you know, we do recommend people for COS to companies we know, or if you want to process it through us, you can approach us after the show and ask about COS. It's not a very long time. So, you know, it can take anywhere between 3 weeks to 6 weeks to get your COS from application. So I'd say 6 weeks is the sort of maximum. Sometimes you can get it very fast in 3 or 4 days. So if you are interested in COS, this show is not about COS. I know we talk about a lot of stuff, but it's mainly based on property. So just contact me and we can talk more about that. Jasmine Life, that's another COS question. Does COS guarantee visa? Yes, more or less it does, because a COS means there's an employer here that is asking for you to come. They have a space for you to work, and they are looking for workers who they cannot find in the UK. Nobody in the UK doesn't want to do that job. So this is just a little bit on COS. I hope people that are focused on COS are ready for the challenges of it. You have to remember, the UK government is giving people COS to come and do jobs that people in the UK do not want. So a lot of times people collect this COS and then they come. I will be watching on Instablog, Nigeria, or all these blogs, and I see people crying like, oh, I didn't know it would be this hard. It's hard. This channel, we give you the undiluted truth. You know, people want to come to the UK, fine. And we're making it easy for you. We're showing you the ways to go about it and what to do. But I won't deceive you. It's going to be tough, because it's a job nobody here wants to do. That's the only reason they're giving it. They're not giving it for you to come and live the life of Riley, to come and chill and play and do how you like. You understand? So if you do get a COS, please don't be a CEO of a company in Nigeria where you are living a very good life and you say you are coming for care job. Because yes, you will be wiping people's bums. You will be cleaning, you'll be washing your clients. You will be helping. That's the job they've given you. And if you come and you're on domiciliary care, you will need to be going to different locations. I've said it about 2 times in this show. If you have a license from Nigeria, think about buying a car as soon as possible. It takes about 30 or 40% of the stress of that job off. Honestly, if you want to do it with public transport, you're going to struggle. So I'm going to take a quick one on YouTube. We've got Daniel Gift there. You're still with us, I hope. When you arrive to the UK, how do you go about checking for a job? I know this question might be odd. So for Daniel, I'm going to flash something on the screen for you if you're still there. It's called Universal Job Search. That should be your first starting point. That's the government's portal for job searching. You can search on there. Please go to my last week's session. I put a date on all my sessions on YouTube. So after this, you can watch. We talk extensively about jobs last week. SIA, security jobs, customer retail jobs, all that sort of stuff. So I don't want to go into jobs because this week I'm mainly focused on credit scores, credit reports, how to build your credit, and the best accounts to have. And then we'll take property questions because we are a property show. So that's our bread and butter. But when we do these side shows, we want to have a bit of focus. So please, Daniel, if you're still on YouTube, last week's show, you will love it. We cover a lot of job talk there. Okay, so we've got Eva Marco on Instagram, and it says, do you have any agents in Scotland, Stirling, or Glasgow? Okay, so this is a question I've answered a bit earlier. You know, for a different person, we don't have agents everywhere, but we do all our stuff remotely and online. So definitely, yes. So Daniel has come back to say thank you. So yes, you'll get a lot of information for that show. I promise you. It's a long one. It's 2 hours, but we've put chapters on it as well, so you can just skip to the job bits. I generally put chapters on the show, so you don't have to watch the whole 2-hour drag. It's quite a long one. Okay. So Eva Marco, as I was saying, we don't have agents in every city, but we can help you get property in any city in the UK. It's all done remotely. We send all the documents by mail. So don't worry about that. In case you want to take our service, we can still help you. You Glow. thank you for joining. I've seen you here a few weeks, so thank you so much for following the channel. Please, I know this is not the time to ask about work. Is there any app or where I can work 3 months and counting? Nothing. Okay. So I'm going to put this on YouTube as well, just for people who watch the show afterwards. Yes, just for people who watch on the catch up. And Glow, if you do go on YouTube, you can get these apps there as well. Like I said, it's not a job show, but I always like to take your questions and answer them the best we can. So Flex, Couple, and Stint. I know you are not watching on YouTube, you're on Instagram. So I've put them on YouTube for people who watch this later. But the 3 good apps for temporary jobs is Flex, Flex, Stint, STINT, and Couple, that's COOPLE. Those 3 apps are all available on the App Store. They're good for temporary work, in between jobs. If you are stuck in a situation where you are doing all these job applications and nobody is getting back to you, download those apps. You're going to get people who need an 8-hour shift done here, 12 hours done there, that sort of thing. So those are really good apps for people looking for jobs. So I'll put that on the screen on YouTube just for anybody who goes back and watches this later. And Glow, I hope that answers your question. The big ones you need is universal job search for permanent jobs. You want universal job search. I'm showing that up on the screen on YouTube as well now. Flex, Couple, universal job search, Indeed app. So those are the ones you should be looking at. I'm sure you're probably already looking at Indeed and Total Jobs because those are very popular, but make sure you're on universal job search as well. And if you want temporary jobs, Flex, Couple, and Stint. So I hope that helps you, Glow. Yeah, it's really tough when you come and you are just sitting at home for months and months without any job. So we've come down to Funlolafa. You have another question. Do we run employment services? Yes, we do. So we work in partnership with people who help you search for jobs. We have job support services like CV writing, cover letters. We can help you write those out. We can also help you with job interview training. The thing is, going for a job interview here is very different from the Nigerian experience. You can come here and be like, oh, I'm very good, I'm loyal worker, I'm hardworking. There are buzzwords, there are keywords that if you don't say these words, they believe you don't understand the British work culture. So unless you're going for a manual job where, if you're working in a factory or you're working in a job that's not really manual job, should I say, then those things may not be important. But if you're going to work in an office, if you're going to work in a big organization where, they also have to adhere to certain standards. So at the job interview, they're going to be asking certain things to see that you understand these things. So that's why we give interview training. It's really helpful. We teach you methods of answering questions. It's not just, so how they do job interviews in the UK is they will ask you for a scenario. They will give you a scenario and there's a specific way to answer that question. So these are the things we teach. If you are interested in our job search services, kindly reach out. We can help you because we have people that, you will keep getting job interviews, you keep throwing out applications, and at the end of the day, there's nothing coming of it. It's just because you don't know the right techniques. Honestly, the people they are taking are probably worse than you. It's who is lucky and who gets in on the day. So you want to give yourself the best shot when you go for these things. Okay. So, yes, you said speak about universal job search as well. Universal job search is the government's portal for job searching. So people that are on benefits here, people that claim unemployment money, that doesn't apply to Nigerians, but they do it through universal job search. But they also have one of the biggest portals for jobs. So if you are searching and you're not yet using that really, I see a lot of people and I ask, have you used universal job search? And they say no. I'm like, what are you doing? That's your first starting point. So make sure you are using universal job search. Also, the government gives certain companies that use that website, gives them tax, little things on their tax or helps them out. The government rewards them for using that service. So the employers there are more likely to want to take you because, they want to fill the positions as quick as possible. Eva Marco, you've come back with a question about Scotland. I think I've answered that a bit earlier. Hopefully you got that. We don't have agents everywhere, but we work remotely. All the properties you see on our page, we get them without, and we have about 4 to post, which we haven't posted yet. So we have a ton of people we're helping. We don't have to be in every city. It's not like Nigeria that the agent takes you by the hand it's totally different. So like I was saying at the beginning of the show, we want people to start thinking differently. It's not the same experience you have in Nigeria. Okay, so I'm still on Instagram. Is it a must that the dependent and student come to the UK at the same time? This is from I am Oloribe. Oloribe. Are you the queen? The Bay of the Olori. Okay, so that's a really nice name. No, you don't have to come at the same time. A lot of people do that, and it's advice we've given in the past. One person comes first. It will ease your life a bit than packing 5 children and your dependents are all coming at once. I beg your pardon. One person can come first and sort out the property, and then it makes your life so much easier. So I hope that solves it. Piton Beauty Studios, you've come back with yes, please. I think I'm running really behind on Instagram, but I'm sorry, guys. If you're still with me, it's so much easier to send your message on YouTube. I'll get to it faster. The link is in the bio. Oluwatosin, good evening, bro. Good evening. Thank you for joining the stream. I hope you're still there. Grace Ibukun Olua. Hello, I'm looking for a 2-bedroom apartment in Hatfield or Luton. Okay, so that is a really difficult place to be going to right now. There's not a lot of properties available. So University of Hertfordshire is a very popular one for Nigerian students, and everybody is heading to Hatfield and Hertfordshire. We helped a couple out there a few weeks ago. I must tell you, it's one of the toughest places to be searching now. So I'm sorry I don't have good news for you. We can still help you. We provide guarantors, references, that sort of thing. And you'll probably need some of these unless you have a UK guarantor. But you're looking for a 2-bedroom. So I'll tell you prices, at least if that is helpful for your search. You want anything between 1,300 till about 1,600, depending on the thing. But a lot of them are coming in about 1,350, 1,400. So, aim for 1,400, 1,500, and you should get something. The competition there is high. It's very, very high. So I hope that helps. Grace Ibuku Oluwa. Yes, Tosin. Oluwa Tosin, yes. Is it fine to come into the UK through schooling? I mean, there's thousands of people doing it. There's no reason not to do it. I think it's better to come on the skilled worker route. Personally, that's the advice I give people, because some of these school fees are really expensive. Remember, when you come as a student, you can only work 20 hours a week. So your income earning is limited. If you come as a dependent or on certificate of sponsorship, both of you can work full time. You are coming maybe with a family with children. It really needs 2 job salaries. Otherwise, it is a struggle. But not to put you off, you might be a single man. If you can come in with a student visa, there's nothing wrong with that. So, Oluwatosin, I hope that helps. But if you've got the choice and you can come as on COS and you have a job waiting for you, you will see a lot of the people asking questions in the comments about jobs are people that are students and they can't find work. So if you come on COS, there's a job waiting for you. So that's already you can see the differences there. Okay, we're still going down on Instagram. We've got a lot of questions there. Sweet Ma 8, thank you for joining the stream. I appreciate you. I hope you're still with us. How can 16, 17-year-old get jobs any site? They are school leavers already. Okay. I mean, what you have to be wary about is the UK is not fair to young people looking for jobs. Now, the national minimum wage is about £9 or £10 an hour, depending on what part of the country you are. So if you are in London, it's about just under £10. Other parts of the country, it's about £8 to £9. For young people who are 16 and 17, guess what the minimum earning amount is? It's £4.25 an hour. So they will be working alongside somebody that is 21, and they will be earning half of the pay. So I don't think it's a good position to put your children in. I said it earlier in the show, next week we're going to be talking all about schooling, childcare in the UK, and especially people coming with older children and how it affects their university education. So tune in next week, Sweet Imma, and I will have a lot more for you. But they can certainly work. It's just not going to be fair on them because they will be doing the same hours as other people, and they will be getting ripped off. I am Oloribe. Yes, thank you. I am the Queen. Thank you, Queen. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you. And take care of the Olori. Okay, so yes, we're just going to switch quickly to YouTube. We've got one in there from Kende Yusuf again. Thank you for staying with the stream. I see you've been on for a while with us. Thank you. Do you have properties for rent in Manchester City, 2-bedroom flat? Now, the way we work, we are not an estate agent. I know this comes as a shock to people. We are not an estate agent. So we sometimes have properties we put on the page. So you'll go on the page and you will see properties there that we're advertising. Landlords approach us all the time and say, oh, rent this out for me. So those are the properties you see. The ones we work with developers, we work with landlords. So we do. But what our main thing is we source properties for people and we help you through the rental process. If you look at stories of people that have come to the UK in the last few months, all you will hear them saying is how difficult it is to get a property. So that's where we come in to fill in that gap. We are working in between the estate agent and yourself to make things easier. When you go to the estate agents here, if you are just newly to the country, they're going to ask you for a guarantor because you cannot prove your last history. You don't have any records in the system. They will ask you for all these things, and that's where we come in. We help you with that list. We can help you achieve all of that. So it doesn't matter the conditions they're asking for, we can normally help. That's where we come in. So if you said, do we have properties in Manchester? I would say no, but we can help you search and we can help you secure. That's what we do. We search and secure for people. So it's not like we have 500 properties and this, that. So sometimes you will see properties on our page. Those are the ones where the landlords have come to us and said, please rent this property out for me, which we are getting quite a few of these days. But for the most part, we are not an estate agent. So we just help people secure property. So I hope that explains what we do a bit better. Okay, so I have come to the end of all the questions. If you still have a question, you can put that in now. I'm still happy to take any more questions. This session runs for 1 hour every Sunday evening, 9 p.m. West African time, 8 p.m. UK time. A very important one, UK, sometimes we're on the same time with Nigeria, sometimes we're 1 hour behind. And that change is going to happen at the end of March. So the time changes in the UK twice a year. Maybe this is just important. Maybe it's just trivia for some people. It's something to be aware of. So as it is now, we are on UK time. UK time is always 1 hour behind Nigerian time. From the end of March, we move to British summertime, BST. It's no more GMT. Now we are on GMT, Greenwich Mean Time. And at the end of March, we move to BST, which is British summertime, which is the same time as West African time. So at the end of the March, we'll be same time with Nigeria all the way to October. And then in October, the time comes back by 1 hour. It happens every year. It's very strange for people when they come the first time, like, why is the time changing? You'll get used to it after a while. The reason why it happens is in summer, because we are closer to the northern hemisphere, the sun comes out very early. So even when we move to Nigerian time, the sun comes out at 4:35 a.m. in the morning. The sun is already bright. You know, you'll be sleeping and you need to close the curtains and that sort of thing. And at the other end, we get later things. So it's just to try and make sure we have enough sunlight and it's not disturbing, because you don't want the sun coming up at 3 a.m. in the morning. It will just, you know, it's totally unrealistic. And in summer as well, what tends to happen here is till 9 or 10 at night, you will still see the sun in the sky. So you'll be like, it's 9 o'clock, it's 10 o'clock, sun's still there outside. That's something that a lot of new arrival, it takes a while to get used to. Okay, so I've got a few more questions coming in before we leave. We will take all your questions. I'm going to stay on YouTube and then I'll switch to Instagram quickly. So Lillian, you said, is it possible to get a part-time job as a student in Nigeria before we arrive? Very unlikely, my dear. Very, very unlikely. It's possible. The people who can normally do that are people in the IT sector. So if you're working remotely, you know, somebody messaged in last week, he was a data analyst. If you're in the IT sector, you can start looking for jobs now. If you're a student, the type of jobs you can get in the UK, you need to be here to get them. So it will be security, working at night, or retail, working in customer service in supermarkets. So Lillian, sorry, it's not the answer you want probably, but it's very hard to get a job. Even the people who are already here, they are not finding the job. So for you to get it from Nigeria, it's very unlikely. You don't have an NI number as well. So there's something you need to work here. It's called your national insurance number. And anybody on Instagram listening as well, as soon as you come here, that's one of the first things you apply for. I get people who have been in temporary housing for 2-3 months, and then they'll say, oh, I'm not applying for my NI. What have you been doing all this time? Get your NI as soon as you come. Anything you need to be applying for, even if you're in a temporary house, don't wait till you get your house. People always say that, oh, I want to be settled before I start. Apply for your NI, because that's how you get a job. So Lillian, you cannot get a job from Nigeria as a student, unfortunately. Deborah Adeyemo, thank you for joining. You were with us last week as well. Thank you. Please, what is the best bank to open as a new immigrant in the UK with good credit cards? So that's a question that is on point. That's what we're dealing with this week. So we're talking about credit history, credit reports, best bank accounts to open. And if you missed the beginning of the show, don't worry, we'll be putting out this information on the Instagram page tomorrow or Tuesday at the very latest. It will have the top 5 banks you should be opening, which are not Monzo or Revolut. So these two, Monzo or Revolut, stay away. If you're coming with a lot of cash, we are advising people to open these ones. So Deborah, I hope you are still there. They're flashing on the screen on YouTube. Lloyds is one of the best banks in the UK to start with as a new arrival. They've got branches in every city. You can walk in the bank, you get your card sent to you in the post within a week. You can even open the account online. So you can just go on their website, fill it out, they will send you, you know, and then you can go in their branch and pay in cash. We've got Metro Bank, Kahoot, Smile, First Direct, Cash Plus as well. These are all very good banks to start. You will not get a credit card as soon as you come, unfortunately. They will give you a debit card. So a debit card is to take out your own money. A credit card is to spend the bank's money, or, you know, money that's not yours. So a credit card will take you about a year to get, a year or 2 years if you run your credit history well. That means paying your bills on time. That means don't owe anybody any money. If you miss a bill payment, it's a default on your credit score. You know, and, you know, they mark every month. Every electric company does it, every gas company, some rent properties as well. So if you miss payments or you are late, what you need to do in the UK is if for instance, you have an electric bill and the bill is £300 and you don't have £300 that month, make sure you pay 100. They respect you a lot for paying something. Don't just sit there and say, I'm waiting till I have that 300 before I will pay, because your credit history will be on a default for the month. If you make some payments, there's no default. It just means you paid some of it, but you didn't pay all of it. Pay 50% of it at least to avoid a default. So that's the way to build your credit. one of the companies we are recommending as well, which is not quite on the screen right now, I'm sorry, but it will be on the Instagram page, is Cash Plus. They have an excellent credit building facility that can help you build your score within 1 year. So Deborah, I know a lot of content creators, they are dancing in their TikTok video, doing all of that, telling you point Monzo, Revolut. Don't listen to these people. Honestly, they're just doing it because they get commission from these banks. And I don't get no commission. I just tell you the honest truth on this channel. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. Yes, I'm going to pop on Instagram for a bit. We have a few more questions there. Okay. So from Funlolafa, thank you for staying with the stream this far. You said £300 to £400 per month for bills after rent. Yes, that's correct. Because your electric bill will be somewhere about £150 a month to £200, depending on the household, depending on how much you use. If you switch things off, you know, the things that make your electric go up the most is anything that makes heat from electricity. So if you plug it in and it's making heat, it's expensive. Things like electric heaters, kettles, irons, you know, anything with electricity that makes something hot is very expensive. So a light bulb can be on for 24 hours. If you on your iron for 10 minutes, the same price of your light bulb for 24 hours is what the iron will use in 10 minutes. So I used to work for the biggest electrical company in the UK, Gas and Electric, British Gas. You know, that's my background. So I've actually worked in the sector. So I'm the best person to tell you about bills in the UK. So, you know, gas in the winter, you're going to spend a lot more on heating. In the summer, not so much. You would just need it for hot water. But then the gas bill is just as much as the electric. So between gas and electric, you'll be spending $300 a month. Council tax is there, maybe 100, maybe 120, depending on where you are. The local government, we call them local authority, will decide what your council tax bill is. You've got water. Water is quite cheap. You'll be paying less than £50 a month. What else do we have? TV license. I spoke about this last week. TV license is £180 a year. So it works out to about £15, £16 a month as well. So these are the bills that you must pay. For most houses, bills are about £500 a month. If you are very good and you are in one bedroom or a small place, you might spend $300 to $400 a month. So I hope that helps, Funlolafa. Yes, after rent. Okay, so we've got Team Murph. What other jobs can someone that is already in the UK do that pays very well aside from care jobs? My advice would be watch last week's stream. I do apologize. I'm trying to wrap it up now because we have quite a few questions and I have answered this a bit earlier, but look at the security sector. Get your SIA license if you want to work in security. I covered that. I go into detail in last week's show. It's on the YouTube channel. Please have a look at that. And you will see a few jobs we've listed there that are quite easy to get into. It's official, iTopper. I am just joining. Can I get a family house in Birmingham before arriving? Very unlikely. I would say no. You may have to be here. So prepare to stay in Airbnb for up to 2 to 3 weeks if you are going to Birmingham. So we've covered those on Instagram. I've got a few come in on YouTube. So Deborah, you're saying thank you to the question of best bank account. Yes, it does help you. We've got Lord Billa saying hello. Hello, thank you for joining the stream. You're coming in close to the end, but I hope if you have any questions, send them through. If not, you can watch back on YouTube. We've done quite a few shows and they're very, very informative. We've got Deborah coming back with what is the best time period when electric charge is the lowest? That's a very good question. Now, it depends on the type of tariff you have. So you have your electric bill, but you still have a tariff. Different people are on different tariff. You can fix your tariff. So you can fix your tariff for 2 years or 3 years where you pay for each unit of electric the same price for that period. You can be on a standard variable tariff. With a standard variable tariff, depending on what's happening in the country, like when Ukraine war happened, your bill will go up. When there's less supply, when things get cheaper, your bill goes down. So it's a variable tariff. Those are the standard tariffs are variable. So this is a very good one for anyone getting a house As soon as you get there, check what tariff you are on. If you are on a variable tariff, call the electric company, ask them, can I get a fixed tariff? That fixes your payments. They will give you a fixed amount you're going to pay for the next couple of years. And it doesn't matter what happens, if there's less gas, more gas, the amount they fix for you is what you will pay every month. They are the best ones, fixed tariff. You know, you can budget, you can plan yourself. If you know every month electric is 150, they will calculate it. So no matter how much you use, you will pay that fixed amount. They are not as common as they used to be. There was a lot more choice before the Ukraine war. Now electric and gas is just all over the place. But guys, you guys that are coming now, you're coming at a good time because we're moving from winter into spring, and from spring is summer. The biggest bill user in this country is just making the air around you hot. Honestly, heating is the biggest one. So if you're coming in summer, you won't get the heat now. You might be paying maybe £50 for your gas in summer. Don't let that deceive you. By the time we move to winter, that £50 can easily go to £200 for heating. Heating is very expensive, and heating, you cannot do without it. It's not like Nigeria. You can choose to have AC, or you can manage with fan, or you can choose not to have anything and use cold water to... Here, heating is not optional. Everyone has to heat their house. If you don't heat your house, first of all, you've got kids. They're not going to be able to manage it. The walls will start getting damp and mold. There's so many other things. So you do have to heat it, otherwise you'll make yourself sick. So heating is a very, very big bill for us here. So Deborah, in terms of time as well, yes, just coming back to your question, there are some of these tariffs which are called two-rate tariffs. So at night, you pay like 1/3 of the price. So between like 1 a.m. to 6 a.m., you pay a very cheap price. And I've got one of those tariffs, like anybody who heard earlier. I used to work for the energy sector, so I know a bit more about these things. When you have a two tariff, anything you are doing with electric that is expensive, you will do it in that period. So like me, I wash all my clothes in the middle of the night, because in the daytime, I pay 45p for every unit of electric. At night, I pay 14p. So it's 3 times less. So the big things we need to do, like hot water, we'll do it at night. The heating, we'll do it at night. Washing clothes, we do it, you know, it's soundproof. You don't hear nothing. It's all quiet. So, yeah, that if you are on a 2-rate, they call it economy 7 system, then you will be paying cheaper at night. But it doesn't apply to every house. So that's why I've not put that information out there. It's not everybody that can get it. When you come, discuss with your provider. Ask them, what's the cheapest tariff I can be on? If they cannot give you a cheaper tariff than what you are on, ask for a fixed tariff that they fix your bill for 1 or 2 years and you pay the same price. That way, you have a bit more control over the bills. If you're on standard tariff, when it goes up, you go up. When it goes down, you know, and it hardly ever goes down. You know, once it gets to 40, 50p, they don't bring it back down. So, I hope that helps. I've got someone requesting to join the stream, Rita's Empire. I'm sorry, I used to do that before. I used to take people to come up on the thing, but the way we are broadcasting now, it's not really great for us. So we don't take people. So if you have a question, just send in the comments. I'll definitely answer you. I think we've covered all of the questions. So yes, I think I'll be wrapping up the show here. We do this for 1 hour on a Sunday evening. Thank you everyone for joining. I appreciate your time. If you're on Instagram and you're watching us on Instagram, I promise you it's so much better on YouTube. Follow our YouTube. The link is in the bio. Subscribe to the channel. Support what we're doing here. We appreciate you know, all your support. Next week, we're going to be talking about childcare in the UK. We're going to be talking about, you know, schools, the different type of schools, how it compares to Nigeria's school system, everything you need to know about your children, bringing them in, the pressing questions you're going to have. So I hope you do join us for that. I appreciate you all. Have a good evening. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lillian, on YouTube, saying thank you for this amazing season. Thank you, everyone on Instagram, Team Mev, Fulolafa, thank you for being here this week again. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I am Olori Babe. Thank you. And I will see you all next week. Have a good weekend and a good week ahead. Bye. Bye.